Sometimes a vehicle is just a vehicle, a means of transportation, but sometimes under the weight of history and the grace of intention, it becomes a statement, a sacrament, almost a parable on wheels, and that's the case with Pope Francis's 2014 Pope Mobile, once a simple open-air white Jeep used during the pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and now in a twist of poignant fate, as poignant as it is practical, it's being transformed into a mobile health clinic for the war-torn children of Gaza. And this was Francis's final wish, not a statue, not a square, not a monument named in his honour, but a medical sanctuary rolling over rubble, bringing vaccines instead of sermons, suture kits, rather than incense. A pope who, forsake grandeur in life, continues to dismantle hierarchy and death. So the symbolism of this is enormous. The Pope Mobile has always been a paradox, simultaneously a shield and a stage. It protected the Pope, the various versions of the Pope Mobile, ever since Pope John II was the victim of an attempted assassination by Mehmed Ali Agha in Vatican Square. It's also displayed him waving vulnerably to the crowds. And now that same vehicle is being retrofitted with diagnostic tools, staffed by doctors from Caritas in Jerusalem and readied for deployment into the fractured Gaza Strip. Its bulletproof sides now symbolize not security but defiance, a refusal to let children die unseen. Pope Francis's choice was no accident. He had, throughout his pontificate, a consistent theological and moral prioritization of people in the margin, migrants, prisoners, the elderly, children, above all children. As he once said, children are not numbers, they are faces, names, stories, and each one is sacred. And Gaza's children, more than 1 million of them displaced, have become the very face of preventable suffering. The healthcare system there is in ruins, malnourishment is widespread, infections rage without antibiotics, and in the middle of it all, the church, under fire and literally shelled, holds its ground. And France's relationship with Gaza's Catholic Church, the tiny and tenacious Holy Family parish, has become something almost paternal. And in his final months, he was regularly telephoning the church every day. He phoned nightly, speaking with priests, sheltering both Christian and Muslim families. He insisted that the Nativity be shown that Christmas with a Christ child wrapped in the keffir, this head scarf worn by Arabs in Gaza, a controversial but deeply human act, now emblematic of his unapologetic alignment with the innocent. And yet Gaza was not his only battlefield, not the only focus of his attention in war zones. If we turn to Ukraine, and the remarkable moment when Cardinal when Cardinal Mykola Wojciech was raised to the cardinalate, he asked the Pope for help with the abducted Ukrainian children from Russia, and he expected protocol. He received intimacy, and the Pope answered in Ukrainian. Why? Because as a child in Argentina, Jorge Mario Bergoglio had served as an altar boy at the Ukrainian Catholic Church, one of the many Eastern Rite parishes built by refugees fleeing Soviet brutality. The incense, the chants, the sorrow of the liturgy was embedded in his bones. So when Wojciech spoke of stolen Ukrainian children, Francis didn't respond as a pontiff. He responded as someone who once lit the altar candles for their grandparents. It's this radical empathy, almost unfashionable in its simplicity, that unites his stance on Gaza and Ukraine, not because he equated the conflicts, but because he believed that all war brutalizes children indiscriminately. And his critics, and there were many, accused him of being on both sides, but they missed the point. He wasn't trying to make political statements, he was trying to salvage childhood. So what does this future hold? Practically, the newly christened Clinic Mobile awaits clearance from the Israeli authorities. Caritas Jerusalem stands ready with its doctors and nurses prepared to bring relief to the most isolated communities, not just with vaccinations and wound dressings, but with the witness that someone still cares. Symbolically, it marks a decisive pivot in papal legacy. We may not remember what encyclical Francis issued in 2019, but we will remember the Pope-mobile, not for how it carried him, but for whom it will now serve. And as the cardinals prepare to enter conclave on Wednesday, this legacy will not be easy to ignore. The next pope, whoever he will be, whether Pier Battista Pizzaballa from Jerusalem or perhaps Archbishop Michailo Wojciech from war-scarred Ukraine and Australia, will inherit a church that Francis has tried to drag away from palaces and back into the field hospital, both metaphorically and now quite literally. In the end, it's hard to think of a more Franciscan conclusion, to have the vehicle once designed to glorify him be stripped of that glory and turned into a rolling mercy and sent quietly to the edge of a war zone. It's not a monument, it's a movement, quite literally, a mobile. And perhaps that's the true Pope mobile. Not a thing with wheels and windows, but a spirit that travels to the wounded, regardless of the politics, regardless of the danger, because the gospel, as Francis showed us time and time again, is not a book for the shelves, but a path for the feet.